Hello and welcome to Just Stamp with AnaMarie. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a happy birthday friend card featuring a cup of pumpkin spice latte, and I'm combining some products from the main catalog and some from the new holiday catalog. So let me share with you some of the things we're going to be using on this card. Mostly I'm going to focus on how to create the whipped cream. It's really texturized, it's got some 3D um, fun going on, and I'm going to show you also how to create the little pumpkin spice mug, because this set does not come with a mug. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the happy birthday thinlet that I've used on the card. So before we get started on the technique with the embossing paste, let me talk about some of the products I'm using on the card. So from the main catalog, I'm using the Coffee Cafe bundle. You can see I've used the medium-sized mug, the whipped cream dollop. On the inside of the card, I'm going to be using the coffee beans. And I've also pulled the little friend from this vertical stamp. I've chosen just to stamp and heat emboss the friend to add to an element to my card. I've cut the cup and the whipped cream, and I've also cut the little stopper from the framelits. Now to create the pumpkin mug, I've got a little handle going on, and I've borrowed the P from the letters for you, and it's been cut, of course, with the large letter framelits. So the card also features the nice big happy birthday thinlet, and I've done a little bit special with that thinlet. It is a one-piece thinlet, and I've got a little bit of space going on, so I'm going to show you how I created that. Very easy to do. And the card focuses on some of the paper that's in the new holiday mini catalog. So on page 49, you can see this pretty designer series paper pack. I'm using the early espresso zigzag pattern, and I'm also using a little bit of this pumpkin background pattern. So as I get started with the project, no worries about writing down measurements or what resources have been used. Once you view the video, you can skip over to my blog, AnaMariePalmerin.com, and download the project sheet that gives you all the details on recreating this card. So let's get started with that whipped cream. So I'm going to be using embossing paste and the knife, and I like to use the silicone mat so that I don't make a mess on my surface. I'm taking one little piece of the whipped cream I've stamped on Very Vanilla with crumb cake ink. I'm going to open up that embossing paste, and since I'm just now getting started, I'm going to stir it up kind of like you would with frosting. I'm using my knife, and I'm working uncolored, so I'm not going to add any ink. I want the whipped cream to look kind of white-ish, and I do want to have a little bit of that pumpkin pie from this stamped image peeking through. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that frosting down. Use my bead tweezers to hold on to that. And I'm just going to spread it kind of like you would with frosting and give it an overall effect. And I'm just kind of doing it in swirly movements. Could get messy. And before I finish it off, let me clean off my knife, take off the excess, and make sure you cover up your embossing paste as soon as you can so it doesn't dry out. So I'm going to take my knife, add my swirls to my frosting, and I'm just going to kind of follow the line from the stamp. I can see a little bit of the crumb cake peeking through. I'm just going to kind of make those swirls in there. And while it's still wet, I'm going to add a little bit of dazzling diamonds to it to make it kind of shimmery. And I'm just going to kind of turn it over. I don't want to saturate it, I just want a little bit of sparkle. And then I'm going to set it aside while we work with some of the other elements. And I see it aside for now. And we're going to talk about the cute little mug for the pumpkin spice latte. So in the stamp set, there is no mug, so I've recreated it using the mid-size cup that I stamped again on Very Vanilla with pumpkin pie. And I'm creating a handle from the letter P that I've stamped onto Very Vanilla with Garden Green ink, kind of like the little stem from the pumpkin. So I'm going to snip off the base of the P, and with some liquid adhesive I'm just going to apply a little tiny stream, and I'm going to go ahead and place that on the back of my mug. There we go. Placing it just like so, and voila, I've got my pumpkin spice latte mug. So on my card, I'm featuring it. It's elevated on Stampin' Dimensionals, and I just placed 4 on the back. The whipped cream you are going to adhere with flat adhesive, so I used again the liquid glue. I've added the little pumpkin from the painted autumn paper, and you can see I've had to hand snip it there, and I've also had to hand snip the trio. So just as a warning, this is a relax and craft project, meaning there's lots of techniques on one card. We've got the heat embossing, we've got big shot cutting, we've got paper snipping, the embossing paste, and there's a lot going on in the card, so you want to allow some time to just relax and create the card. So for the happy birthday, I've cut from the happy birthday Thinlet, but I actually ran it through 2 passes on the big shot. And the reason I did that is I knew I wanted to separate the 2 words, and if you run it just once, when you snip it apart, you do not get complete letters on the ascenders and the descenders that line up, so you want to have that extra there. All you're going to do is go ahead and hand snip off, kind of form your letters. That way there aren't any dips in the letters. So now you have a perfect birthday, and also with the happy as well. Those descending letters tend to overlap with the ascenders. And there you go. These have been flat adhered on the pretty espresso paper, meaning I've just applied small lines of liquid glue along the words, a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom. I find that the liquid glue is a stronger adhesive when you're gluing onto ribbons. So that's pumpkins I'm showing from the inside. There you go. Because it's on this card is on a dark base, I wanted to add a panel of Very Vanilla so you can stamp and sign on your inside of your card. And I stamped a few coffee beans in early espresso and then just added the trio of pumpkins. So there you go. A happy birthday greeting just as we're entering pumpkin spice latte season. If you have any questions about this card, about ordering products, or if you need a copy of the New Occasions catalog, you can email me at amp@AnaMariePalmer.com. Or if you have a comment on the card, please just add your comments to the bottom of this video. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to skip over to my blog, AnaMariePalmer.com, to download the project sheet for this card. Thanks for clicking by.